Don't we all have that one friend who seems to know an insufferable amount about a bunch of random topics? That one friend who chimes in with the odd and sometimes incredibly disturbing little snippet of knowledge out of nowhere? Hi, my name is Carly, and if you don't already have that friend, congratulations. Now you do. I delight in researching anything and everything that piques my curiosity in the least bit. And as my husband has pointed out, we carry a mini supercomputer in our pockets every single day. So anytime I have the slightest curiosity about any given thing, from how wine gets its price to the difference between a Yeti and a Wendigo, I just look it up. Welcome to I'm Already Looking It Up. Let's sit down, relax, maybe have a drink or two, and learn a few things. Hello, and welcome to I'm Already Looking It Up, the podcast where I, your host, research a random topic and tell you, my lovely listeners, all about it. So without further ado, let's get started. So if these intros get sillier and sillier, it's because I have been recording all day. This is my third episode I'm recording. So, the topic today is anime. Totally meant to make that rhyme. So this is an interesting thought. When I worked at GameStop like a nerd only does. And also, I want to say, before I even start, this episode comes from an argument I once had with my old boss, the manager. And before I get into what this argument was about and how I am undoubtedly correct in what I originally argued, I also want to add in that the GameStop I never work at, God damn it. I told you. So the GameStop I used to work at is officially closed, and it closed October 19th of this year. And I just want to say, rest in peace, GameStop that I worked at. I won't say the store number. I just want to say to my old manager that you are an amazing human being. And before I totally beat your butt in this argument, I really appreciate what you were like as a manager, and you were awesome. You made working that job for 4 years worthwhile. And it's really sad that the store is gone now. And we will forever remember that the GameStop that we worked at in our small town was something special. And that's mostly in part to you. So thank you. Alright, so now, time to prove that I'm right, because it's what I'm good at doing. Alright, so this comes from an old argument I have with my manager. One day, we were talking about anime, and he mentioned that he thought Avatar: The Last Airbender was an anime, which is an opinion a lot of people hold on to, and one I do not think is correct. Of course, this could be easily debated back and forth, and in the end, people are still going to think what they want to think. So honestly, it's rather a useless debate to have, but this is what this show is all about, isn't it? Ridiculous and useless knowledge. So of course, this debate got me thinking, what does actually qualify as anime in these modern times? One would think it has a simple answer, but actually I consider the thought quite complex, and one that brings into question why we as humans define art in certain ways, or anything for that matter. We are obsessed with labels and categories and organizing people and things into boxes, but then people make generalizations that can be really frustrating. For example, I always get frustrated by people who tell me all cats are mean, and not just because I like cats, but because it really depends. Are my cats aloof and kind of antisocial? Sure, sometimes, especially when we have strangers over. But my oldest cat is happy to come and cuddle with me and demand all the attention when she wants it, and she always loves a good pet on the head. So really, it just depends. I have 4 cats now, and they have distinct and different personalities. And I wouldn't refer to any of them as mean. Just like how some people would refer to Avatar The Last Airbender as an anime strictly because it has an anime style in it. And in terms of storytelling and in visuals, it's very much an anime. But others adhere to the strict distinction of anime is Japanese, and anime is Japanese animation, so if it isn't Japanese, it isn't anime. Before I go on a rant about categories and how dangerous generalization can be, let's dive into the history of anime. So the earliest verifiable film done in anime style dates back to 1917. Before anime itself, several forms of Japanese entertainment and storytelling paved the way for anime's success, utilizing shadows, light, paper, and many other forms of puppetry. Entertainers traveled and earned a living through storytelling. Eventually, manga started to become popular, and many anime shows are still adapted from manga today. Now, I'm going to say, before I read this, I did use a lot of Wikipedia for this, but it had a very good breakdown of anime history, and I found it all very fascinating, so here we go. Few complete animations made during the beginnings of Japanese animation have survived. The reasons vary, but many are of commercial nature. After the clips had been run, reels, being property of the cinemas, were sold to smaller cinemas in the country and then disassembled and sold as strips or single frames. The earliest anime that was produced in Japan to have survived into the modern day, The Dull Sword, was released on June 30th, 1917. But there it is disputed which title was the first to get that honor. It has been confirmed that Dikabo Shingacho Mine no Shippai, Bumpy New Picture Book, Failure of a Great Plan is the English translation, was made sometime during February of 1917. At least 2 unconfirmed titles were reported to have been made that previous month. The first anime short films were made by 3 leading figures in the industry. Oten Shimokawa was a political caricaturist and cartoonist who worked for the magazine Tokyo Puck. He was hired by Tenkatsu to do an animation for them. Due to medical reasons, he was only able to do 5 movies, including Imokawa Mukuzo, Gen Kanban no Maki. I should also add that I'm probably going to mess up a lot of these names, as per usual. I do apologize. I am doing my very best. Before he returned to his previous work as a cartoonist. Another prominent animator in this period was Junichi Kouchi. Kouchi was a caricaturist. He was a caricaturist and painter who also had studied watercolor painting. In 1912, he also entered the cartoonist sector and was hired for an animation by Kobayashi Shokai later in 1916. He is viewed as the most technically advanced Japanese animator of the 1910s. His works include around 15 movies. The third was Seitaro Kitayama, an early animator who made... Oh, this is a third person. The third person animator, Seitaro Kitayama, an early animator who made animations on his own and was not hired by larger corporations. He eventually founded his own animation studio, the Kitayama Igai Saiskujo, which was later closed due to lack of commercial success. He used the chalkboard technique and later paper animation with and without pre-printed backgrounds. However, the works of these pioneers were destroyed after the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923. The works of these two latter pioneers included Namakura Gatana, an obtuse sword, neat, and 1918 film Urashima Taro, which were believed to have been discovered together at an antique market in 2007. However, it was later established that the Urashima Taro was most likely an entirely different film with a story similar to the missing 1918 film by Kitayama, and therefore is no longer credited to him. As of October 2017, Kitayama's Urashima Taro remains undiscovered. All right, cool. So it's interesting, bit of mystery, bit of missing things. Things probably just destroyed by time and history. Unfortunately, happens a lot. All right. Needed to take a sip of my coffee there. Yasuji Murata, Hakuzan Kimura, Sanee Yamamoto, and Noburo Ofuji were students of Kitayama Sitaro and worked at his film studio. Kenzo Masoka, yeah, another important animator, worked at a similar animation studio. Many early animated Japanese films were lost after the 1923 Tokyo earthquake, including destroying most of Kitayama's studio, with artists trying to incorporate traditional motifs and stories into new form. Pre-war animators faced several difficulties. First, they had to compete with foreign producers such as Disney, which were influential on both audiences and producers. Foreign films had already made a profit abroad and could be undersold in the Japanese market, priced lower than what domestic producers needed to break even. Japanese animators thus had to work cheaply in small companies with only a handful of employees, which then made it difficult to compete in terms of quality with foreign product that was in color, with sound, and promoted by much bigger companies. Until the mid-1930s, Japanese animation generally used cutout animation instead of cell animation because the celluloid was too expensive. This resulted in animation that could seem derivative, flat, since motion forward and backward was difficult, and without detail. But just as post-war Japanese animators were able to turn limited animation into a plus, so masters Yasuji Murata and Noburo Ofuji were able to perform wonders that they made with cutout animation. Animators such as Kenzo Masaoka and Mitsuyo Seo, however, did attempt to bring Japanese animation up to the level of foreign work by introducing cell animation, sound, and technology such as the multiple camera. Masaoka created the first talkie anime, Chikara to Ona no Yo no Naka. Anime has lots of no in the titles, so it seems weird to my English brain, but I'm sure it's a common thing, which was released in 1933, and the first anime made entirely using cell animation, The Dance of the Chagamas. Seo was the first in 1934. Seo was the first to use the multi-plane camera in Ari-chan in 1941. Such innovations, however, were difficult to support purely commercially, so pre-war animation depended considerably on sponsorship, as animators often concentrated on making PR films for companies, educational films for the government, and eventually works of propaganda for the military. During this time, censorship and school regulations discouraged film viewing by children, so anime that could possess educational value was supported and encouraged by the Monbusho, the Ministry of Education. This proved important for producers that had experienced obstacles releasing their work in regular theaters. Animation had found a place in scholastic, political, and industrial use. In the 1930s, the Japanese government began enforcing cultural nationalism. This also led to strict censorship and control of published media. Many animators were urged to produce animations that enforced the Japanese spirit and national affiliation. Some movies were shown in newsreel theaters, especially after the film Law of 1939 promoted documentary and other educational films. Oh, it's a film law. Okay, I was like, why is film capital? Yeah, okay. Brain. Such support helped boost the industry as bigger companies formed through mergers and promoted major live-action studios such as Shochiku to begin producing animation. It was at Shochiku that such masterworks as Kenzo Masaoka's Kuno to Churipu was produced. Wartime recognition of the industry, however, merged the feature film studios into 3 big companies. During the Second World War, more animation films were commissioned by the Imperial Japanese Army, showing the sly, quick Japanese people winning against enemy forces. This included films such as Masuyo Seo's Momotaro Umi no Shinpei, Scared Sailors, okay? Produced in 1943, which focused on the Japanese occupation of Asia. In the post-war years, World War II, Japanese media was often influenced by the United States, leading some to define anime as any animation emanating from Japan after 1945. In fact, the term itself became more and more common around that time period. Anime and manga began to flourish in the 1940s and 50s, with foreign films and layouts by American cartoonists influencing people such as Osamu Tezuka. And in the 1950s, anime studios began appearing across Japan. Hiroshi Takahata brought a studio named Japan Animated Films in 1948, renaming it Toei Doga, with an ambition to become the Disney of the East. While there, Takahata met... too bad that, Hayazaki gotcha there. Studio Ghibli, man. Definitely the Disney of the East. It wasn't until the release... Oh, sorry. I skipped a line. While there, Takahata met other animators such as Yasuji Mori, who directed Doodling Kitty in May 1957. However, for the Japanese public, it wasn't until the release of Panda and the Magic Serpent in October of 1958 that Japan fully entered into the world of professional animation. While animators began to experiment with their own styles using Western techniques, Tezuka Osamu began drawing shonen manga like Robe no Kishi, Knight of the Ribbon, which later became Princess Knight, trying to appeal to female readers, while also pioneering shoujo manga. And I need to look that up. Toei Animation was founded and produced the first color anime feature film in 1958, Haiku Jaden, The Tale of the White Serpent. It was released in the U.S. in 1961, as well as Panda and the Magic Serpent. After the success of the project, Toei, I think that's how you say it, Toei, released a new feature-length animation annually. Alright, so sort of the Disney of the East at the time. Osamu Tezuka established Mushi Production in 1961 after Tezuka's contract with Toei Animation expired. The studio pioneered TV animation in Japan and was responsible for such successful TV series as Astro Boy, Kemba the White Lion, Goku no Daiboken, and Princess Knight. Mushi Production also produced the first anime to be broadcast in the United States on NBC in 1963. Although Osamu Tezuka would complain about the restrictions on U.S. television and the alterations necessary for broadcast. The global popularity and demand of anime continued to rise during the okay. So this is where I should have made a note here. So, this was a very long history article on the history of anime. And I want to go through real quick. So we finished with Toei Animation. Yep, they produced Princess Knight and the first movie in the United States. So I wanted to go through each kind of decade after that and kind of like talk a little bit about what it was, but I didn't want to read the full thing. So, because it goes literally decade by decade. So, in the 1960s, the unique style of Japanese anime began forming with large-eyed, big-mouthed, and large-headed characters. The first anime film to be broadcast was Moving Pictures in 1960. In 1961, saw the premiere of Japan's first animated television series, Instant History, although it did not consist entirely of animation. Magic Boy, known in Japan as Shonen Sarutobi Sasuke, the boy Sarutobi Sasuke, in 1959, is a 1959 Japanese animated feature film released on December 25th, 1959. Just barely got you in there. Released as Toei Animation's second theatrical anime, the film was released in theaters in the United States by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer on June 22nd, 1961, making it the first anime film to be released in the country, followed by Panda and the Magic Serpent. And these films were popular enough, they paved the way for other anime to follow. So this is the decade of what I think it begins to form what we kind of think of as anime nowadays, with like they said, with the big eyes and all of that. And that's interesting because they mention Astro Boy, which I clearly remember being like the very epitome of kind of an anime character, very big eyes, kind of chibi looking, I guess is what I want to say. Speed Racer, I know, all of these. So, yeah. So that's kind of 1960s is anime, the style that we know. During the 1970s, the Japanese film market shrank due to competition from television. This reduced Toei Animation staff, and many animators went to studios such as Pro and Telecom Animation. Mushi Production went bankrupt, though the studio was revived 4 years later. Its former employees founding studios such as Madhouse and Sunrise. Many young animators were thrust into the position of director, and the injection of young talent allowed for a wide variety of experimentation. One of the earliest successful television productions in the early 1970s was Tomorrow's Joe, a boxing anime which has become an iconic in Japan. 1971 saw the first installment of the Lupin 3 anime. Contrary to the franchise's current popularity, the first series ran for 23 episodes before being canceled. The second series, starting in 1977, saw considerably more success, spanning 155 episodes over 3 years. Lupin 3. I don't know that one. Okay, so we see anime and TV growing here in the 1970s. That's interesting. They have some prominent ones mentioned here. Like, they do have the Lupin 3 mentioned. Heidi, Girl of the Alps. Let's see. Future Boy Conan. Interesting. So a lot of fun going on here. Mobile Suit Gundam came out in 1979. Science Ninja Team Gotcha Man? I need to look that up another day. That's interesting. Female audience anime such as Candy Candy and The Rose of Versailles. Ooh, The Rose of Versailles. I have to look that one up too. I need to make a list. So yeah, here we go. This is the rise of anime in TV. Fascinating. In the 1980s, anime started to go through a visual quality renewal thanks to new directors like Hayao Miyazaki, we love him, and Isao Takahata, who founded Studio Ghibli in 1985. And I don't know if it's Ghibli or Ghibli. I go Ghibli, I've always heard it, but I could be wrong, and I'm sorry. And Katsuhiro Otomo anime began to deal with more nuanced and complex stories, while boys' love continued to impact cultural norms, taking root across East Asia as countries such as South Korea, Thailand, and China ingested these Japanese pop culture exports. The shift towards space operas became more pronounced with the commercial success of Star Wars. The science fiction genre as a whole had a strong influence on Japanese animation, shaping its creative direction. So we got a couple here that may sound familiar. Mobile Suit Gundam was mentioned. Came out in 1979, successful and revived as a theatrical film in 1982. Space Battleship Yamato in 1974. Let's see. So we got Star Wars is popular. So some other ones that were popular for anime was Battle of the Planets in 1978. I said Space Battleship Star Blazers in 1979. The Macross series begins with the Super Dimension Fortress Macross in 1982, which was adapted into English as the first arc of Robotech. We got Genesis Climber Mospita, Super Dimension Cavalry South Cross, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. And yeah, so we're getting very space agey, very much the kind of anime I actually hate. I don't hate robot animes, but there's a lot of them. So there's not many I like. I think I'm trying to think. I know there's one that I actually do enjoy, but I can't remember what it is. So that's how high it is up on my list. And of course, talking about Studio Ghibli, one of the most influential anime of all time, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, 1984, was made during this period. The film gave extra prestige to anime, allowing for many experimental and ambiguous projects to be funded shortly after its release. It also allowed director Hayao Miyazaki and his longtime colleague Isao to create their own studio, which we know as Studio Ghibli, under the supervision of former Animage editor Toshio Suzuki. The studio would become known as Studio Ghibli, like I said, and its first film was Laputa, Castle in the Sky, which I have watched, but I fell asleep during, so I need to watch it again. One of Miyazaki's most ambitious films. And of course, also during this era, the success of Dragon Ball, which came out in 1986, introduced the martial arts genre and became incredibly influential in the Japanese animation industry. It influenced many more martial arts anime and manga series, including Hajime no Ippo, that sounds familiar, Baki the Grappler, never heard of, Naruto, of course I know what Naruto is, and The God of High School, which came out in 2020, and I think I need to look at that one too. So, 1980s filled... this is anime's boomtown. This is where we know anime that we, as at least in my generation, know today as like, this is anime. Like, this is the area where, like I said, Dragon Ball came out. All kinds of things. We've got... just so much. Oh yes, and pornographic anime also came out during this time period, so there's that as well. The first hentai was a little known Wonder Kids Studio Lolita anime, also released in 1984. Weird. We're not gonna go down that path. But that's what it is. So just reporting what I'm reading. Then we got our sports anime. Captain Tsubasa, which is soccer. Not a big sports anime person. I do love the parody version of Free, the swimming one. But that's about as far as I've gone into sports anime. Alright, so, but you know, they've got the classics here. We got Slam Dunk, Prince of Tennis, and Ice Shield 21. In the late 1980s, we saw an increase in a number of high-budget and experimental films. In 1985, Toshio Suzuki helped put together funding for Oshii's experimental film Angel's Egg. Theatrical releases became more ambitious, each film trying to outclass or outspend its predecessors, taking cues from Nausicaa's popular and critical success. Night on the Galactic Railroad, A Tale of Genji, and Grave of Fireflies were all ambitious films based on important literary works in Japan. Films such as Char's Counterattack and Arion were lavishly budgeted spectacles. And the period of lavish budgeting and experimentation would realize its zenith with one of the most expensive anime film productions ever, Royal Space Force: The Wings of Hon-Amise in 1987. But Studio Ghibli would have Kiki's Delivery Service in 1989, which was the top grossing film for 1989, earning over $40 million at the box office. And we freaking love Kiki's Delivery Service. I love that movie so much. I'm a big Ghibli fan. There are Ghibli films I have not seen, but Kiki's, she up there. She a winner. All right, I'm going to take another sip. All right. Despite the commercial failure of Akira in Japan in 1988, it brought with it a much larger and international fan base for anime. When shown overseas, the film became a cult hit and eventually a symbol of medium for the West. The domestic failure and international success of Akira, combined with the bursting and bubble economy of Osamu Tezuka's death in 1989, marked the end of the 1980s era of anime. I know I said I wasn't going to read all that. I did read a bunch of it. But yeah, in 1980s, we see this boom of what anime really, we saw in the 1960s, anime becomes the style that we see, the big eyes and all that I mentioned. And in the 70s, we see it starting to get popular on TV in Japan. And then we get to the 1980s where we just have this big boom of mostly sci-fi, but a lot of fantasy-related anime. And that's just cool. I think it's interesting to see, these are the things, again. These are the shows, the movies. These are the things we just know. This is anime, right? Like Dragon Ball. That is anime. Anything Studio Ghibli, that is anime. So, all right. So 1990s. In 1995, the year I was born, Hideki Anno wrote and directed the controversial anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. This show became popular in Japan among anime fans and became known to the general public through mainstream media attention. It is believed that Anno originally wanted to show the ultimate otaku anime. Okay, alright. This is one of my husband's favorite animes. I've never watched it. And now I have a feeling that I know why. Designed to revive the declining anime industry, but midway through production, he also made it into a heavy critique on the subculture. It culminated in the successful and controversial film The End of Evangelion, which grossed over $10 million in 1997. The many violent and sexual scenes in Evangelion caused TV Tokyo to increase censorship of anime content. As a result, when Cowboy Bebop was first broadcast in 1998, it was shown heavily edited and only half the episodes were aired. It too gained heavy popularity both in and outside of Japan. What? I didn't even know that. That's crazy. So we got Evangelion started a series of so-called post-Evangelion or organic mecha shows. Most of these were giant robot shows with some kind of religious or complex plot. These include Raw Zephion, Brain Powered, and Garasaki. It also led to late-night experimental anime shows, which became a form of experimental anime such as Boogie Pop Phantom. That sounds familiar. Which came out in 2000. Texanolize, I probably said that wrong, which came out in 2003, and Paranora Agent, which came out in 2004. Experimental anime were also released in the 1990s, most notably the cyberpunk thriller Ghost in the Shell in 1995, which had strong influence on Matrix, also Yo, Ghost in the Shell, alongside Evangelion and neo-noir space western cowboy bebop, helped further increase the awareness of anime in the international markets. Now, of course, we must mention the one of the best Miyazaki films of all time, which is Princess Mononoke. We love Princess Mononoke here in this house. It's a great film. Became the most expensive anime film up until that time, costing $20 million to produce. Miyazaki personally checked each of the 144,000 cells in the film and is estimated to have redrawn parts of 80,000 of them. 1997 was also the year of Satoshi Kon's debut Perfect Blue, which I've never seen but have been told is a great, if not scary as fuck movie, which won Best Film and Best Animation awards at Montreal's 1997 Fantasia Festival. It also won awards in Portugal's Fantasporto Film Festival. Very nice. Alright. Still have not watched it. Sorry. You know who you are. So we got the late 1990s. Also saw a brief revival of the super robot genre that had decreased in popularity due to the rise of real robot and psychological mecha shows like Gundam, Macross, and Evangelion. The revival of the super robot genre began with Brave X Kaiser in 1990 and led to remakes and sequels of 1970s super robot shows like Getter Robo Go, Tetsujin 28, Go FX, and there were a few popular super robot shows that produced after this until Tengen Toppan Gurren Lagann, which I've also never seen Gurren Lagann. I'm really feeling like I'm lacking in the anime world. I know I am, but I do what I can. So, alongside super robot counterparts, the real robot genre was also declining in the 1990s. Though several Gundam shows were produced during this decade, very few of them were successful. The only Gundam shows in the 1990s which managed an average television rating over 4% in Japan were Mobile Fighter G Gundam, New Mobile Report Gundam Wing. It wasn't until Mobile Suit Gundam, another one of my husband's favorite shows, in 2002 that the real robot genre regained its popularity. And by 1998, over 100 anime shows were aired on television in Japan, including a popular series based on the Pokemon video game franchise. Other 1990s anime series which gained international success were Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Digimon. The success of these shows brought international recognition to the martial arts superhero genre. The magical girl genre, I'm a Sailor Moon girl, and the action-adventure genre, respectively. In particular, Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon were dubbed into more than a dozen languages worldwide. Another large success was the anime One Piece, based on the best-selling manga of all time, which is still ongoing. I've never seen One Piece. I refuse to watch One Piece. Alright, so now we have the 2000s, which is the Evangelion era trend continuing. So we got some more, Gundam. Is that right? Gundam? Yep. Type. I don't know. Mecha animes, that kind of thing. We got Mobile Suit Gundam, of course, which I mentioned, Eureka 7, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, which is another one of my husband's favorite animes. Lelouch being his favorite character, I made him a mug. It's a whole thing. The 1970s style super robot genre also revival began with Gao Gai Gar in 1997 and continued into the 2000s. Got Gurren Lagann, of course, which I, again, have never seen, but I know it's a popular one. I'm really just not into the mechas or the Gundam. I just am not. I know there's one I like, but I can't think of what it is. But anyway, so, an art movement started by Takashi Murakami, the combined Japanese pop culture with the postmodern art called Super Flat began around this time. Murakami asserts that the movement is an analysis of post-war Japanese culture through the eyes of the Otaku subculture. His desire to also get rid of the categories high and low are making a flat continuum, hence the term super flat. His art exhibitions have gained popularity overseas and have influenced a handful of anime creators, particularly those from Studio 4 Degrees Celsius. Alright, so we got our late night anime. Again, we mentioned that. I don't know any of the... Oh, I do know one of them. I know Elfen Lied. I've never seen Elfen Lied, but I know I had a friend in high school who was obsessed with that show, and I would look at the cover and be like, that looks terrifying. I do not want to watch it. Maybe I should watch it. Let's see. Before the massive boom from companies like Funimation and Adult Swim, view or even obtaining anime in the United States was quite difficult since the market value and the interest in the States as quite low. Many broadcasting companies would not bother with airing the shows. This was due to a number of factors, one of which was getting the show translated. In the modern, we have anime that is dubbed over with English voices, making it easier for Western audiences. God, I need to catch up on all my animes. This is just reminding me. However, in the early 90s, when anime was first starting to become big, that was not available. Many fans of the genre would translate the show themselves and would post them online for others to view. This trend would continue until September 2nd, 2001. This is when the show Cowboy Bebop first aired on the broadcasting network Adult Swim and was the first anime to broadcast live on television. And we love Adult Swim animes. The show was an instant success, the only problem being the airtime was late and at night, meaning that the audience was subject to a small number of people. Inuyasha was in that era. Anime based on eroge and visual novels increased in popularity in the 2000s, building on a trend of the late 1990s, such works as Sentimental Journey and To Heart. Examples of such works include Green Green, Shuffle, Canon, Fate Stay Night, which that's one I want to watch. Higurashi no... Do I know this one? Sounds familiar. Don't know it, but... Oh, okay. Dojin. Gotcha. Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. F, A Tale of Memories, True Tears, and Clannad. Many shows have been adapted from manga and light novels, including popular titles such as Yu-Gi-Oh! We do love Yu-Gi-Oh! I've seen all of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Not anything after the original, I'm like, don't care. But the original Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually played Yu-Gi-Oh! With my brothers. I wasn't very good. I lost all the time, but it doesn't matter because it was fun. Inuyasha, which I love. Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, Full Metal Alchemist, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which, again, love both. I watched the original series, and then I watched the newer one. I loved both of them. Brotherhood is better, but Full Metal still has a place in my heart. Monster, never seen. Bleach, no, but never seen. Rosen Maiden, sounds familiar, never seen. Aria the Animation, never seen. Shakugan no Shana, you sound familiar, never seen. Panty Pawnee Dash, nope. Death Note, of course, most people know what Death Note is. Mushishi? Nope, no clue. Sola, no clue. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, nope. Lucky Star is familiar sounding. Toradora, I do know of Toradora. I don't know what it's about, but heard of it. K-On, nope. Baka Monogatari, and of course, Fairy Tail, which a lot of people say they don't like, but I think I would enjoy it. These shows typically last several years and achieve large fan bases. Nevertheless, original anime titles continue to be produced with the same success. So again, the 2000s are marking the trend and emphasis on the Otaku subculture. The notable critique of the Otaku subculture found in the 2006 anime Welcome to the NHK, which features a hikikomori, socially withdrawn protagonist, and explores the effects and consequences of various Japanese subcultures such as otaku, lolicon, internet suicide, massively multiplayer online games, and multi-level marketing. What? Okay, I know the massively multiplayer online games, and the other two, obviously self-explanatory, but multi-level marketing? Please give me an example. I really hope there are ones. In contrast to the above-mentioned phenomenon, apparently not, there have been more productions of late-night anime for a non-otaku audience as well. The first concentrated effort came in Fuji TV's Noitamina block. The 30-minute late-night Thursday time frame was created to showcase productions for young women of college age, a demographic that watches very little anime. The first production, Honey and Clover, was a particular success, peaking at 5% TV rating in Kanto, very strong for late-night anime. The block has been running uninterrupted since April 2005 and has yielded many successful productions in the modern anime market. Neat! There have been revivals of anime American cartoons such as Transformers, which spawned 4 new series: Transformers Car Robots in 2000, Transformers Micron Legend in 2003, Transformers Super Link in 2004, and Transformers Galaxy Force in 2005. In addition, an anime adaptation of the G.I. Joe series was produced, titled G.I. Joe Sigma 6. Oh my god, this is like, again, a bigger boom of just, this is modern anime in its beginnings. This is what we definitely know anime is, today. Alright. So, we've got a decade also dawned, a revival of high-budget feature-length anime films, such as Millennium Actress, Metropolis, Appleseed, Paprika, and the most expensive of all being Steam Boy, which cost $26 million to produce. Satoshi Kon established himself alongside Otomo and Oshii as one of the premier directors of anime film before his premature death at the age of 46. Other younger film directors such as Mamoru Hosoda, director of The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Summer Wars, also began to reach prominence. And, of course, we must talk about Studio Ghibli. During this decade, anime features were nominated for and won major international film awards for the first time in the industry's history in 2002. Spirited Away, my favorite Ghibli movie of all time. A Studio Ghibli production directed by Hayao Miyazaki won the Golden Bear at the Berlin International Film Festival, and in 2003 at the 75th Academy Awards, it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. Yeah! I love Spirited Away. I need to watch that this year. It was the first non-American film to win an award and is one of the only 2 to do so. It has also become a highest-grossing anime film, with a worldwide box office of $274 million. Heck yeah. So, follow the launch of Toonami programming block on Cartoon Network in the United States in March of 1997, anime saw a giant rise in the North American market. Kid-friendly anime such as Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Doraemon, Bakugan, Beyblade, Sonic X, and 4Kids Entertainment and the 4Kids Entertainment adaptation of One Piece have all received varying levels of success. This era also saw the rise of anime-influenced animation, most notably Avatar: The Last Airbender. See, I told you we'd get there. And its sequel, The Legend of Korra, Megas XLR, Code Lyoko, Ben 10, Chaotic, Samurai Jack, The Boondocks, Ruby, and Teen Titans. Oh, they put Ruby in there. As such, anime further became entrenched in the United States household with the launch of Adult Swim by Cartoon Network in 2001, aimed at those in the older OVA and tape trading crowd, with a new fandom forming. This fandom, however, exclusive and elitist, with newcomers expected to know how to use IRC, some basic Japanese, and so on. Oh my god, okay. Almost through the 2000s, I promise, but all of these are very important. at the 2004 Cannes Film Festival, Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence, directed by Mamoru Oshii, was in competition for the Palme d'Or in 2006, and at the 78th Academy Awards, Howl's Moving Castle, another Studio Ghibli produced film by Hayao Miyazaki, I can't say his name correctly, was nominated for Best Animated Feature. Didn't win, but guys, Studio Ghibli. Just saying. Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite Studio Ghibli film. Just because... My second favorite, sorry. Did I say my favorite? I don't know. Just because Spirited Away is, like, nostalgic for me. The first time I saw Spirited Away was, like, literally late night television. I was awake. I don't know what I was watching, but it just came on TV, and I was just entranced by this movie, and I watched it all the way through before going to bed. And it also scared the living crap out of me. But I'm not really sure why. I have a lot of existential issues, so the fact that it was, like, kind of about death and shit, and not great, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorites as well. It's my second favorite. 5 centimeters per second, directed by Makoto Shinkai, won the inaugural Asia Pacific Screen Award for Best Animated Feature Film in 2007. And so far, anime films have been nominated for the award every year. By 2004, over 200 shows were aired on television. In 2006, graduates of the University of California, Berkeley launched Crunchyroll, becoming the first anime streaming service, a model later used by Netflix, Funimation, and Amazon.com in the later 2010s. So, if you like Netflix and Funimation and Amazon.com, you can thank Crunchyroll and anime in general. Alright, so the 2010s are not as long, and neither are the 2020s. We're not super far into the 2020s, to be fair. So we have, in May 2012, the Toonami programming block in the United States was relaunched as a late-night adult-oriented action block on Adult Swim, bringing more uncut popular anime back to a wider audience on cable television. In addition to broadcasting or rebroadcasting previously released dubbed anime, the block, as well as the Adult Swim itself, has overseen a worldwide premiere of English dub releases for various anime, including, but not limited to, Durarara, Dead Man Wonderland, I've always wanted to watch that, Hunter x Hunter, Sword Art Online, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Attack on Titan, Kill la Kill, Space Dandy, actually do know Attack on Titan, great. Akame ga Kill, also great. Parasite the Maxim, One Punch Man, fantastic. Dragon Ball Super, don't really care. My Hero Academia, hell yeah. Boruto, Naruto the Next Generation, and Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, which I also love Demon Slayer. On September 1st, 2013, Hayao Miyazaki announced that The Wind Rises 2013 would be his last film, and on August 3rd, 2014, it was announced that Studio Ghibli was temporarily halting production following the release of When Marnie Was There, further sustaining the finality of Miyazaki's retirement. The disappointing sales of Isao Takahata's comeback film, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, has also been cited as a factor. Several prominent staffers, including Yoshikai Nishimura and director Hiromasa Yonebayashi, left to form their own studio Ponok, premiering with Mary the Witch's Flower, which I haven't seen but looks good. Both Ghibli and Miyazaki subsequently went back into production in 2023 film The Boy and the Heron, which I do want to watch, while Takahata died on April 5th in 2018 of lung cancer. That's unfortunate. Various international anime distribution companies such as ADV Films, Bandai Entertainment, and Geneon Entertainment were shut down due to poor revenue, with their assets spun into new companies like Sentai Filmworks or given to other companies. In 2011, Pulamaga Madoka Magica was aired in Japan. Why do I know that one? This sounds familiar. The anime was a change from normal magical girl anime, as the anime contained more darker, complex, and gorier themes than magical anime usually would. Oh, that's why I know that one. The anime got great reception from critics, as United Kingdom's Anime Network's Andy Hanley rated it a 10 out of 10 for its emotional content and evocative soundtrack. And both Attack on Titan and The Wind Rises reflect a national debate surrounding the reinterpretation of Article 9 of the Constitution of Japan, with Miyazaki's pacifism in the film coming under fire from the political right, while the Attack on Titan has been accused of promoting militarism by people in neighboring Asian countries, despite being intended to show the haunting, hopeless aspects of conflict. The mecha anime genre, as well as Japanese kaiju films, received a Western homage with the 2013 Pacific Rim, directed by Guillermo del Toro. I always say that wrong. Western streaming services such as Netflix and Amazon Prime Video are increasingly becoming involved in the production and licensing of anime for the international markets. In 2015, an all-record high of 340 anime series aired on television. Dang. Alright, 2020s, let's go, it's the last part. The global popularity and demand of anime continued to rise during the decade due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the medium's wide availability on streaming services. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train, became the highest-grossing Japanese film and the world's highest-grossing film of 2020. It also became the fastest-grossing film in Japanese cinema because in 10 days it made 10 billion yen, which is 95.3 million American, 72 million pounds. It beat the previous record for Spirited Away, which took 25 days. Spirited Away still made more money, though. Just saying. And it won an Academy Award, also. Just saying. I like Demon Slayer. In 2021, the anime adaptations of Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and Tokyo Revengers were among the top 10 most discussed TV shows worldwide on X, then known as Twitter. RIP. In 2022, Attack on Titan won the award for most in-demand TV series in the world in 2021. Yeah, because they took freaking forever to finish it. I don't think it's done. I still am not sure it's done. I lost my spot. Most in-demand TV series in the world in 2021 in the Global TV Demand Awards, Attack on Titan became the first ever non-English language series to earn the title of World's Most In-Demand TV Show, previously held by The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. Hell yeah! Freaking go. I love Attack on Titan. In 2023, the opening theme, Idol, by Yaosobi, the anime series Oshi no Ko, topped the Billboard Global 200 EXCL, I'm not sure what that's short for, US charts with 45.7 million streams in 24,000 copies sold outside the US. Idol has become the first Japanese song and anime song to top the Billboard Global chart, as well as taking the first spot on the Apple Music's Top 100 Global chart. In 2024, the Studio Ghibli's The Boy and the Heron was given the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, making it the second Oscar award won by Hayao Miyazaki. It became the second non-English language film to win the award after Spirited Away. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the history of anime. So that was a lot. So I know most of the more modern ones. I'm a big My Hero fan, though I'm not caught up on it. I am a huge fan of... Oh, there's a hentai named Cleopatra. Sorry, looking at a list. Not a list of hentai, just a list of anime, and that one came up. My bad. Anyway, so, I absolutely love My Hero Academia. I'm a big Demon Slayer fan. I like Jujutsu Kaisen, which I need to catch up on as well. I just have a list of anime I need to watch, and this just added more to it. I like anime, okay? Don't get me wrong. But let me refer you back person I'm having this argument with. 2, the question that we started this episode with, which is, what exactly is anime? What can you define as anime? Well, from my research and what I have read, anime comes from Japan, and otherwise it is not anime. However, with the caveat, I will note that Avatar: The Last Airbender, some of the other ones that were mentioned, such as Ruby, let me see, I gotta find the spot where it says them. It's probably in the 2010s? Or is it in the yeah, it's the 2000s. Okay. Ben 10, Samurai Jack, like I said, Ruby, the Boondocks, all of those. Anime influenced, anime inspired. I'm not saying that they don't look like anime, because they certainly do. But they certainly also are not technically considered anime. So I win. And that's all that matters. No, I'm absolutely kidding. You're right, it is anime inspired. It does have a very anime-like feel to most of them. But yeah, anime influenced animation. AIA, if you will. Don't coin that or anything. It's stupid. Anyway, so that is the only thing I wanted to prove. And to prove it, I had to read an entire history of anime via Wikipedia, which I promised I wasn't going to read each section. But as they got more relevant to me, I had to read all of them. So my bad. Sorry that this episode is so long. But something I also wanted to add while talking about this is, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Like, I can sit here and be like, yeah, technically, it's not anime if it doesn't come from Japan. Which is correct. But at the same time, does it really matter? No. As long as you're enjoying it, who cares? You watching it. You like it. You know, there's no reason to put these labels on things. They don't make any sense. So, you know, life is too short to worry about this kind of stuff. Which is something I learned in the last few years. And I had that argument years ago. And it was an argument that legitimately made me angry. So angry. But now I realize it doesn't really matter. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it was basically me just reading Wikipedia, but I'm commenting on stuff. Love anime, love the things that it makes me feel, and hate the things that it makes me feel. There's a reason I haven't caught up on most of my shows. But yeah, here we are, and I think for today, for this episode at least, that's where we'll leave it. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and if you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out. And thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to I'm Already Looking It Up. This show is written, directed, edited, and produced all by me, Carly Kaufman. To show your support, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out at Wild Forest Productions on Patreon, Tumblr, and Instagram, and Facebook. To find other ways to support the creator, check out at Empress Wild on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter/X, Facebook, TikTok, and also Instagram. And if you have any topic suggestions, feel free to throw them my way. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. Until then.